None? Excellent. Right, we have no public forum presentations or late items, and we can jump straight to number 9, which is our community committees and group meetings. This is an opportunity for liaison councillors to highlight any latest updates from their community committees, and the full minutes are on the council website. So let's start with Councillor Blackmore, Colleton.
Thank you. Colleton has been very active in getting funding applications in for the next financial year based on the various projects. So that's taken quite a bit of effort. Very optimistic plan for Colleton that will take us through for 10 or so years, I would say. The first wee project's been delivered, which is quite exciting. It's not installed yet, but it's a sharing Pātaka Kai to put alongside the Colleton Hall. So it's been planned for over a year now. It's nice to see it's actually been built and ready to install.
Excellent, great. Thank you. Councillor McFadden, Halcombe.
Yeah, I was actually through illness at the last minute unable to attend, or however, did put a report in and had feedback. They actually were busy organising, along with Colleton, their financial plans for this next year, and they had a very successful midwinter dinner on the 19th of July, which was well attended. In fact, it was virtually sold out for nothing. So they went very well. So it's business as usual.
Excellent. Thank you. Councillor Quarry, Hamatini Beach.
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. I unfortunately missed this meeting as well. The Hamatangi are ticking along. They've got plans to construct a viewing platform in behind the shop on the sand dunes. No, there's nothing to report.
Thank you. Councillor Underwood, Huanui, and then Rongatia.
At the meeting, the committee was organising another one of their working bees, and this time it was to plant 500 plants in an ugly overgrown black bank. And I saw on Facebook that it was very successful and they got them all in the ground. And at Rongatia, they voted to change the name from Rongatia Community Committee to Rongatia Community Development Group, hoping that that would encourage more people to come forward. They seem to think that the word committee means work, and the word development group, that phrase is more likely to bring in your people who want to change.
Right. And Councillor Short, Sampson.
I didn't have much luck with Sampson. I got a message to say that they'd changed the date to take the meeting out of the school holidays. So I turned up on the right date at hall and there was nobody there, and I waited for 15 minutes and I think I've got the wrong day, and then I got a message to say, did you realise it was a different venue as well? So unfortunately, anyway, I sent through my report to them, what I would have said if I'd gone, because I already had it written. So bit late this month.
Right, okay, thank you. And Councillor Blackmore, the Youth Council.
Yeah, the particular meeting this week, 21st of July, was postponed due to high level of illness going around. So we will meet Monday instead. They did have their youth market on the weekend at the Civic Centre, which was very successful. There was about 24 stall holders of young people from the community. And thanks to the councillors who came down for a look and spent a little bit of money.
Great, thank you. Marae, liaison councillors. Any liaison councillors who have an update since our last meeting? Councillor Ford.
Thank you. Chair of Kaupara Marae, Kelly Lawton, invited me to a Marae Collective hui on Papakainga housing a few Sundays ago. Councillor Bell was there and representatives from our operational team, including planners. I thought it was very productive.
Excellent, thank you. Any others? Right. Thank you for those. Let's move to item 10, officers' report. The first one up is on page 23, seeking to adopt the smoke-free and vape-free policy. And as you see in the information, it's seeking to add the some content in there around vaping, which wasn't in our previous policy. So welcome, Francis and Kemi. I'll hand it over to you.
Thank you, Roshit. Good morning, everyone. So briefly, this report, I'll take the report as being read. Basically, the rationale for this is pretty much to update our policy to align with current realities. I had spoken to council on the 3rd of March, 3rd of April, I believe, where outlined the increase in vaping in our community or in New Zealand as a whole. So basically, this revision incorporates vaping into it. The other things that are included are the purpose and the outcomes have been included and strengthened. Basically, what we're wanting to achieve is to reduce the occurrence of vaping and smoking in public places, and also to reduce litter as well. So pretty much, in terms of signage, Health New Zealand, Te Whatu Ora, has volunteered to provide some signage for our district. So we will leverage on that. If council agrees to adopt the policy today, we will leverage on that. So the recommendations here, the options we have before us are first to retain the policy as is, which would mean that we wouldn't make any changes to it. But the disadvantage with that is that we're not keeping up in terms of our current realities. The other option we have before us today is to adopt the revised proposed policy, where we can include our signage, include it in our lease agreements, promote council events as vape-free as well. So these are the options we have today, and my recommendation to council today would be to adopt the revised policy.
Thank you. Thank you. Couple of questions from me. You're talking about council events vape-free. How are you going to, because we've talked about this before about, in theory, it's great, but in reality, how do you enforce that? And when you say council events, how far does that go? Is that organisations that council funds, such as FDP, events that council helps fund? What's the definition?
Council events would be the events that we promote ourselves. Also, FDP, I have been in touch with them, and they also promote their events as smoke-free and vape-free as well. So that wouldn't be an issue at all.
Okay, and my other question was around community engagement. I think you might have just answered it. The stakeholders that you referenced there are all young people, and I get that, but there is also other people in our community that this impacts as well. So did we engage with any other stakeholder groups or individuals outside of youth?
No, it was just the high schools and the youth council that we were able to engage with at this time.
Thank you. Open it up for questions, comments. Councillor Short.
Thank you. When you engaged with the high school, was it with students or was it with staff? Because I've certainly heard the principal of Fielding High School concerned about vaping and how close vape shops were to the school. So was it children, staff, or both?
It was to the principals, actually, because what I had done was I had emailed the principals of both schools, and I had sort of informed them about the policy, and I had asked for feedback. I preferred options. My options were to actually come to the school and talk to the students, or if the principal could organize, if they wanted to do it in the school by themselves. But the principal's preference by email was that would disrupt studies. And he had said that the key problem was the proximity of vaping stores to the school. And in that regard, the smoke-free and vape-free policy would not address that. But the way that we could address that as council would be through advocacy. And we have been doing that through submissions. So that's, I believe, the avenue that we could use to address that issue.
Thank you. Thank you. Anything further? Councillor Underwood.
Thank you. I notice in the policy, the new one, vulnerable groups are mentioned twice. Do you think there should be a definition in there as to who you're meaning by that? That's 3.12 and 4.1.1. Just that they don't seem to be defined at all. It's just vulnerable groups.
So what you, councillor Underwood, you're seeking a definition to be added as to vulnerable? Is that what you're?
Well, yes, as in who they're aiming to.
Who was the vulnerable group?
Yeah, who are the vulnerable groups that they are including in that, I suppose, because there's a lot of people mentioned ahead of vulnerable groups, like children, families, and then vulnerable groups.
I suppose vulnerable groups there would probably be people that have got some health issues.
I was,
I could clarify.
yeah. People with existing health issues was what I took it to mean. But yeah. By vulnerable groups, it's like a group of people rather than like people with existing health issues, and it wouldn't necessarily meet together in a group is what I'm kind of meaning.
Thank you. But also, isn't our policy applying to everyone? Potentially anyone who smokes or vapes?
Well, the policy, the purpose, I believe, like there's indication that it's to protect people's health, and then there's also indication that it's to eradicate smoking and vaping from public places. So there's like the two purposes there.
Thank you. There must be a defined definition government use or the health agencies use around vulnerable, if that's something we want to progress. Councillor Hadfield.
Yeah, thanks, Your Worship. I just either or, a bit of a technical thing. I noted in 2.4, reference to the four wellbeings under the Local Government Act, which the government have told us will be gone pretty shortly. So I'm just wondering whether or not the reference should, the significance of 2.4, that the reference should concentrate on the Health Act rather than a piece of legislation that's going to disappear.
At the moment.
Yeah. Kimmy.
Yes, definitely well aware of that piece of legislation potentially changing, but I imagine that the intent of the proposed changes will not pretty much eradicate what it is that the policy is trying to achieve. But if it is the preference of council to take away that reference, that it is still legislation that is current.
Yeah, it's current. Yeah, I get that.
Probably don't
Won't be too long before it's not current.
Yeah.
And I get, this is applied across a number of things that council's talking about. We've taken the view that we are required to take the legislation as at the day we are discussing this. Thank you. Anything further, Councillor Black?
Thank you. I just thought I'd make a comment, given Youth Council's been referenced. Stakeholders in a group that Kimmy has spoken to. So the perspective of the Youth Council is probably alongside mental health, vaping and its impact on young people is probably one of the strongest things that they kind of collectively agree on as an issue. So they'll be pleased to see that you've taken their feedback into consideration and including vaping in this policy. Thank you.
Thank you. So if there's nothing else, can we go back to the recommendations, please, on page 23? And there are some options there. And what I'm hearing is that that there is support for this, including the changes and subject to any minor amendments from the comments that have been raised today. So if I could have a mover and a seconder, please. Councillor Short.
So number 3 is what you recommended. That the council gives delegation to the, what do I do the first one? Sorry, it's 2 and 3.
Slightly on the screen.
Oh, sorry. That the council adopts the smoke-free and vape-free policy 2025 as set out in the Appendix 1 of this report, subject to minor amendments detailed in the minutes of this meeting. And that council give delegation to the chief executive to approve any final edits to the smoke-free and vape-free policy 2025 before publication.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder, please? Councillor Ford, thank you. Any further discussion? If not, I'll put the motions. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion is carried. Thank you, Kimmy. Thanks for the work you and your team have done on that. Let's move to 10.2. We're on page 36. Seeking to approve the public notification for consultation on public places bylaw. Welcome, Axel and Lisa. I'll hand it over to you when you're ready.
Morena koutou, and good morning, everyone. Your worship, councillors. The purpose of my report today is to present to you the statement of proposal that relates to public places bylaw. The statement of proposal is the key document that we're proposing to use when consulting public places bylaw, which is attached to the report. Just a reminder again, the Local Government Act requires that council prepare and adopt a statement of proposal when consulting using the special consultative procedure. You may also recall that from the last council meeting, that council endorsed the recommendation that public places bylaw is still the most effective and proportionate tool for addressing nuisance behavior while protecting, promoting, and maintaining public health spaces. The statement of proposal contains reference to previous council meetings, including the 19th of June, including decisions made in relation to initial assessment against the New Zealand Bill of Rights, and a summary of the proposed changes, as well as a copy of the submission form. Councillors will also have received a document containing supplementary information on identified perceived issues and suggestions for managing those issues under the current bylaw. The work in relation to section 3, the actual options of the report. So the report outlines the options available to council today. Option 1 is that council adopt the statement of proposal, in which case public consultation will commence on Monday, 28th of July, as expressed in recommendation 1. Option 2 is that council requests amendments to the statement of proposal or its attachments, such as the draft bylaw and the submission form. So we can note those, amendments, requested changes at this meeting. And if the changes, requested changes are minor, we can incorporate those changes after to get the CE to sign off, in which case we can still go out for consultation on Monday, 28th of July. If the requested changes are more major, we might need a bit more time and probably push our consultation a little bit further down the track. You probably will have noticed, in fact, one of the elected members has already pointed it out in an email, the iconic fielding Rangitihi Herald is mentioned as reference in the report. This report has been completed because we have internal deadlines in the sense that we were actually caught off guard by the discontinuation of the Purely Magnetic Herald. We can still include public information. It's not a public notice, but we can include information about it as part of the district news that we then circulate throughout the community. The statement of proposal will be packaged up as a single PDF and is able to be downloaded. And that, in essence, is the report today. I'm happy to take any questions, suggestions.
Thank you. Right, open it up for questions, comments, please. Councillor Blackmore.
Thank you. My question is not so much about your approach or the contents of the policy. I'm just mindful that a month or so ago, we updated our significance and engagement policy. And so I'm wondering whether that change to the policy has influenced the way you've thought about engaging with the community around this specific policy.
Yeah, thanks. I think it's probably fair to say that we're on a trajectory to maturity in terms of practice, right? As you noted, the policy was adopted about 4 weeks ago. Part of the challenge of this particular pilot is that it was informed by two very, very different significance and engagement policies. We as a team obviously have ongoing discussions around improving engagement, consultations with the community. So I believe that particular Schedule 1 and Schedule 2 of the significance and engagement policy probably compels us to a whole of council really to think more intentionally about who we engage with, when we engage with. So in that respect, I think the significance and engagement policy way it was adopted is very helpful and very positive too.
Thank you. Councillor Quarry.
Thank you, Your Worship. I noticed in reading it that there's no alteration to the removal of abandoned vehicles on the side of the road. I'd like to see that moved to 24 hours or a day. Vehicles that are left on the side of the road end up being vandalised, stripped and burnt at 2 o'clock in the morning, and the local fire brigade has to come out and deal with it. If a vehicle is of worthy value, the owner then takes responsibility for it. I don't believe people who own a vehicle which is worth, $2,000, $3,000 or $4,000 will walk away and not make the utmost effort to try and recover that vehicle quickly. I think 24 hours is enough for that action to take place. If the vehicle's not removed within that time, it is then towed. Now, it'll be towed and secured in a place where there'll be a charge of, say, $200 or $300. Well, hey, that's too bad. That's what, if you leave your vehicle on the side of the road, that's what you can expect. But to leave it there for 7 days, or up to 7 days, is just way too long. And it's inviting trouble. It's inviting people to come and vandalise, to strip it and to burn it. And I see no reason why that cannot be put forward to 24 hours or 1 day. It normally sits there for a day before people start to realise that there's a vehicle there. And certainly the person who drove it there will know and make some effort to recover it. So that's one area I'd like to see changed and put out for consultation.
Axel, am I right in thinking that the time frame, we've discussed this before, is governed around the police rules?
Yeah. So,
but this is a bylaw that states 7 days for it to be recovered within. So we could have our own bylaw saying, hey, it's going to be a day or thereabouts, and that's it.
So generally, there is rules on proportionality, and the bylaw is informed by legislation such as the Local Government Act, for instance, that outlines when council can actually tow away cars, remove cars. That has to be in consultation with police too, because often the owner has to be identified. We did try. I was actually asking Jason, the manager of the regulatory and compliance team, I was kind of hoping that he was going to be here today to kind of like talk about some of the operational aspects around abandoning or dealing with abandoned cars. But if there is legislation in place that compels us to, or doesn't allow us to move any abandoned cars prior to for 7 days, then there's very, very little we can do. We can perhaps investigate, but there's other measures. But I guess going a layer up there, the issue of cars seems to actually have waned a little bit. And there is additional information in the supplementary document that I provided, which kind of like expresses how the number of abandoned cars has relative to the number of registered cars in the district and the region has decreased. I do understand that it is obviously an issue, but in terms of, again, proportionality, which is for these bylaws, it is actually an issue that is, from what we've observed over the past 5 years, has decreased.
Well, that's as a proportion. There's still X number, 60 vehicles a year or whatever that are abandoned.
Councillor, I'll just remind you that today we're seeking approval to go out for consultation, and this point is something that could come back as feedback as part of the consultation if there's from the community.
But we could make this as a suggestion. When we go out for consultation, we're normally setting the barriers for which we accept their public submissions. And if we go out and say that it's going to be for 24 hours or a day, then they may get feedback on that. And what's the point in having a bylaw if we can't incorporate it?
I'll hand it over to Shane to explain.
Yeah, no, look, Councillor Quarry, I get your point, but it's kind of the document's ready to go out for consultation. We would have to not approve that today and then go back and review the document along the lines that you're suggesting, provided all the rest of the council agree. I think that can be easily done through the consultation process, and it's not that significant that it will change the bylaw a hell of a lot. It's only a timeline that we're really talking about.
So we write 1 instead of 7.
Yeah, it's pretty much it. Yeah,
But
it's all part of that consultation, submissions, deliberations, and then we would review the bylaw along those deliberations. Yeah, exactly.
And it's not something we could actually change today, but it is something that, it does have an impact on our emergency services.
Absolutely.
So we should encourage them to respond to this consultation, pointing that out.
I'm just conscious about doing it on the hoof before we actually do the actual work to see what's the driver and what's actually sitting behind that figure.
Thank you. Councillor Ford.
Just on that issue, if I had lived in Fielding and had visitors and wasn't enough parking on my property and they came to see me for 4 days and they parked out on the street, then their vehicle would be taken away. And I don't think that's a good idea.
I'm talking about cars that are parked on the side of the road in the rural area.
I don't know where.
Councillor Underwood.
I believe we are looking further into this in the workshop as well. Abandoned vehicles, there's something there that indicates that they can be moved if they present a hazard.
Yeah.
And one of those hazards is that they're vulnerable to being damaged, as in intentional damage. And if I could just query about the drones, or what do we call them? UAVs? UAVs. It mentions that they can only, this is 9.2C or B, requested by a council officer, but earlier we had defined an authorised officer. I'm just wondering if they can only be asked to cease by a council officer or whether authorised officer would be a better. Someone from outside of council who's been directed to do so by council. And 24.1B, just the wording of that. The wording has been changed in A, but the wording hasn't been changed in B, so B doesn't kind of make sense.
Sorry, it was clause
24.1B.
So what's your point there on 24.1B?
It says in accordance with A and B, and it says in A, the sign must be located. And for B, it says, and which are not visible. I'm thinking that it should say the signs are not visible.
Yeah.
Just for clarity.
Thank you. And those are kind of things that we can pick up during the period of consultation. So, Councillor Short.
Thank you. I just wanted to comment that it's really important that we have a robust policy. It's not just council officers that may enforce it. It also gives the police tools to help with disruptive people in public places, etc. Can I just ask the Chief Executive, was this policy that we got a legal challenge on last time? Bill of Rights, our favourite lawyer?
Well, I don't know if it's this one, but we certainly have had a challenge
Yeah.
previously, so.
Yes, so I think it's important. The main thing I think too is keeping up with changes of technology and things, new things come along like, drones, etc. Just to make sure that we're capturing everything.
Thank you, which just raises something in my mind. The request that we'd had from through the power lines surveys by drones, their request was, could councils please align their ruling around drones so that it's not, they gave the example in Manawatū of going down Kairanga-Bunnythorpe Road, and one side was Palmerston North rules and one side was our rules, and they were different. And they're saying that is really not helpful. So that's something we need to consider as well. And hopefully those kind of users, do they get contacted as part of the consultation because they're potentially impacted by this?
That's a very good point. Let me do that. I have spoken to officers in both community and infrastructure space around dealing with commercial drone operators, such as power line related contractors, etc. And I can follow that up. The response was that essentially the owner of the land provides kind of rules, sets the kind of rules, and obviously they have to be consistent to make.
Yeah, this was about public utilities, the power. Okay.
Let's make a suggestion on that.
Councillor Blackman.
Thank you. We actually have, not far from here, experts in drone operation who train people like police in operation of drones. Phoenix UAV, they're called. Perhaps we could send the policy to them to have them check, because they are across the legislation and all the various.
Thank you. Good point.
Yep.
Thank you. Anything further? Otherwise, we go back to our recommendation on page 36, which is seeking approval to go out for consultation. If I could have a mover and a seconder, please. And we've got a couple of changes picked up from our discussion this morning and the new wording that are up on the screen. Do I have a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor Underwood, would you move these, given that you picked up those couple of extra?
Yes, I'll do that. I move that council adopts the statement of proposal, Annex A, for public consultation in accordance with sections 83 and 86 of the Local Government Act 2002, including the following attachments to this report: the draft public places bylaw in attachment 1 and the submission form attachment 2. and that council authorises the chief executive to make minor amendments to the statement of proposal Annex A prior to public consultation commencing, and amendments will be recorded in the minutes of this meeting, namely Section 9.2 of the policy, amend to authorised officer, and Section 24.1B, update the wording on signs not being visible.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder, please? Councillor Blackmore. Put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Against? Motion is carried. Thank you. Thanks, Axel and the team for the work behind that. We go to 10.3. This is the delegations manual, designations and notice of requirements, and we're on page 85. And my understanding, this is just around administration changes and updates.
Yeah, that's right. Just some more administrative updates. And as usual, these need to come to you for approval. Richard is here in case you have any queries about the specificities of it. But otherwise, they to answer any questions around the process.
Thank you. So having read the document and the changes, administration changes, any questions, queries? Was it pretty straightforward that we can go straight to the recommendations on page 85? Councillor Hadfield.
Yeah, Your Worship, I'm happy to go straight to the recommendation, but I'm not happy to read it all out.
I expect them to do that, but we could do
You
first.
can do it anyway, whether you're happy or not.
Wouldn't be sad.
Are you seriously suggesting you want me to read all that out?
No, the first sentence at least.
I'll try not to splutter. Move that the council approves the below delegation changes to Section 8.2 Resource Management Act 1991 of the Delegations Manual, adjusting several provisions regarding designations and notice of requirements as listed.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder, please? Councillor McFadden. Thank you. Any further discussion? I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against? No, it's carried. Thanks, Ash and the team. We move to page 89, 10.4. This is formally recording the submissions lodged on behalf of council from the 4th of April to the 23rd of June. I just want to point out that there have been 10 and a significant amount of work, and some of those are quite detailed and have taken a lot of work by Lisa and her team, and then the feedback from elected members. And the only thing I'd like to suggest is that we include the list of the names of submissions in the recommendation. Lisa, is there anything else you'd like to speak to?
Your Worship, the only other thing I wanted to note is that we are working in the background to get around getting our submissions on our website, making those more user-friendly. So we had a meeting earlier this week with some members of IT and the design team, and we're looking at essentially loading, after the council meeting, putting all those recent submissions up on the website, recent kind of folder, and then once the next lot come up, taking those previous ones and putting them into folders. So one folder would be around submissions to Parliament, another would be submissions to government agencies, and a third category would be submissions to other local authorities. And then if those lists become too unwieldy, we'd look at putting by year within those three folders. So that should make it easier for the public to find particular submissions that we've made. We have received a few lagooners recently for copies of submissions that our council's made on, particularly on parliamentary bills. So that would make it much easier for people to navigate. The website has become a bit out of date, but rather than, we thought we'd look at how we would structure that first, and then we'll look at putting all the submissions up there. So that is something that we're in progress, and hopefully in the next few weeks we'll get that up and running.
Thank you. I think that's an excellent suggestion, because it shows that our council has been proactive, contributing to what's happening nationally, for the benefit of our community. So that story needs to be told. So well done on that. Any questions, comments in relation to any of those submissions, which you will have had come through your inbox to make comment as they were being worked on? Councillor Ford.
Thank you, Your Worship. Lisa, I completely support what you're suggesting in terms of making them easier for the public to find on the website. I endorse Mayor Helen's comments. Thank you very much to you and your team for all the work that goes into these. And thank you to the submissions committee and colleagues generally, because some of us have had input into them, even though we're not on the submissions committee. And I just point out, well, I just note the difference or the increase in the number of submissions that we're making these days compared to when I came on council not that long ago, 9 years ago. You know, the submissions were reasonably few and far between. So it's an area, Mayor Helen has said, we're being proactive in, we're bringing our say, we're representing Manawatū district. I think it's a good thing, but gee, it's a lot of work. So thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Councillor Hadfield.
Well, I was just going to say it's the price of democracy, really, to be fair. But Your Worship, I echo both your and the Deputy Mayor's comments around a significant amount of work that goes into this. But it is us having our say, and I agree it is important. So I'm happy to actually read this recommendation if that's your wish. I'm happy to move that the council receives and notes the listed submissions lodged on behalf of the Manawatū District Council between the 4th of April and the 23rd of June 2025 as listed, I guess. Yeah.
Thank you. Yes, and we've included the list in there. Seconded by Councillor Ford. Thank you. Any further discussion? I'll put those motions. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion is carried. Thank you. And yeah, and again, Lisa, thank you to you and your team. It is a significant piece of work, and it is something that we need to also remind the government when we're talking about, you know, pulling back what local council does and how it's funded, etc. This is a significant part of council's work. Thank you. Right, we go to page 187, 10.5. This is a regular request we get annually from the Targa Rally seeking road closure. And I note on this one that no objections have been received. It is a 5-hour road closure. And over to Hamish and your team.
Thank you, Your Worship. And Amy is going to take us through the report.
Thanks, Amy.
Good morning, Mayor and councillors. I'm here to present the report requesting approval for the Ultimate Rally Group Limited to close various roads as listed under the recommendation in order to allow them to undertake the Targa Rally on Saturday, the 18th of October 2025. The Targa Rally is a long-standing biennial event in the New Zealand motorsport calendar. This year, they are celebrating the 30th anniversary of the Targa Rally with the Ultimate Road Race. It's held over 5 days, starting in Pukekohe and travelling through the Waikato, Taranaki, Rangatike, Manawatū, and culminating in the Hawke's Bay. There are 3 stages being held on day 4 of the rally. The Targa attracts a large following, which benefits our hospitality and retail providers as it passes through the region. Additionally, community-based organisations such as local schools and community groups benefit from the Targa as donations are provided to them for numerous support roles on each stage. The proposed closures were advertised in the Whiringa Tika Herald on the 15th of May 2025. They were also placed on the Manawatū District Council Road Closures website page and emailed to the community committees for distribution. In addition to this, the organisers carried out resident letter drops on all roads to be closed. No objections were received. The Targa has been held in our region for many years and is raced on technically challenging sealed roads. Past events have not caused issues to our network. We do not take a bond, but the ultimate rally group must hold public liability insurance of over $1 million. We also work our maintenance program in around the event. I'm happy to take any questions. Otherwise, I point you towards the recommendations of the report. Thank you.
Thanks, Amy. Thank you.
Amy.
Open it up. Questions, comments, please. Councillor Quarry.
Just a short question. Is there any analysis of the economic benefit there is to the Manawatū? Has that ever been done? You know, you've mentioned it, but is it, you know, so many nights accommodation, so much spent on hospitality, etc.?
It's not something that we do, but in terms of engaging with the rally organisers, I believe they do, you know, as part of their marketing for this event around the country, they do put forward some of the information. We don't have it at hand today, but I'm sure we can get that.
But it'd be just interesting to know.
Yeah, and I'm not sure of the scientific basis of their analysis, so that's a, you know, as well. Yeah, probably.
And the other question, I didn't think I saw it here, the cost of the road closure, and is that borne by the organisers?
Yeah. And even the advertising would be on charge.
So what would the cost roughly be, ballpark figures for this road closure?
Take a stab at around about $5,000, but I'm not sure on that. It's a large area. There's road closures, which is a better option than having sort of active lane closures and the like, which is quite expensive. I would say that's probably a ballpark give or take.
Thank you. But if there's no further discussion, we do have a recommendation. I don't expect you to read it in full detail other than the first paragraph.
This is a volunteer to read it out in full.
Councillor Black.
I move that pursuant to section 342B and the 10th schedule of the Local Government Act 1974, for the purpose of allowing Ultimate Rally Group Limited to conduct the 30th anniversary Tiger Rally 2025, the following roads as listed will be closed to ordinary vehicular traffic for the times as indicated for each stage on Saturday the 18th of October 2025, subject to the receipt of the public liability and insurance policy, which will be current at the time of the event, and a traffic management plan prepared by and authorised by Site Traffic Management Supervisor and in accordance with the New Zealand Transport Agency Code of Practice of Temporary Traffic Management. Roads proposed to be closed are as listed.
Thank you. Seconder for that, please. Councillor Ford, thank you. Any further discussion? If none, sorry, Councillor Bell.
Happy to pass this, but just something to consider in the next report when a recommendation like this comes in. Have we thought about reaching out to the Pohangana Committee itself as a stakeholder engagement, the new citizens engagement policy that we have?
Hamish might talk more to that. We do send them the road closure to distribute and ask any feedback. We might receive any that was done through our.
So the committee have the opportunity, or is it the residents that have the opportunity?
It's everybody has an opportunity, but it did get sent directly to the committee to send out. So.
Great, thank you. So we have a mover and a seconder. I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Against? Motion is carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Look forward to that one. It's always a good event. And we now move to 10.6. We're on page 195. This is an exciting new development for council. And we're going to invite our Deputy Mayor to speak to this one. Given that it is an initiative that came to the Deputy Mayor and has been picked up and followed through to where we are now. So thank you. I'll hand it over to you.
Thank you, Your Worship. You all look very different from here.
Much better, I'm sure.
And you do realise I have a handicap in that my laptop won't even turn on, let alone get Teams. However, I was trying to struggle through with paper, which is very unusual for me, as you would know. So I was approached by Lieutenant Colonel Martin Dransfield and Chris Parson, who was formerly a brigadier in the New Zealand Army. The connection is they both worked with my daughter Ellen in terms of the Afghan project. But anyway, put that to one side. They both served in Timor-Leste, and I think they were both at different times the commanding officer of our New Zealand Army representation there, and back in, I think it was 1999, 2000, that sort of time frame. And they've obviously kept up a contact with Timor-Leste, and Timor-Leste is looking to, well, they came to us, would we be interested in sister city type relationships? And I didn't know anything, they hadn't mentioned Timor-Leste at that time. And I said, no, it's not something that our council is generally interested in. We see a lot of that. A lot of councils do have sister city relationships, and we're concerned about the cost to our ratepayers of, you know, mayoral junkets, etc., to all around the world. So it would take quite some convincing. Anyway, then they said, well, actually, this is a bit different. This is it's Timor-Leste, and Manawatū district, of course, has an existing relationship, or a lot of people in Manawatū have an existing relationship. And I give an example, Councillor Andrew Quarry, who served in Timor-Leste, but there's a number of people, Army, ex-Army police, or even current Army, that served over there. So Manawatū district is a sort of a fairly natural choice. So I met with the ambassador and three of her staff, with Chris Parsons, and we went to the Hocken farm earlier in the year. And then we met with, as it says in the report, we met with Mayor Helen. April sometime, yep. And so that was here in Fielding with the ambassador and two of his staff, I think, on that occasion. We met at the Community Hub Library. The ambassador was very impressed with that facility. And it became quite clear that both parties were interested, and I mentioned it at councillor only time on a couple of occasions, in pursuing the concept. But we wanted to get away from the sort of the standard sister city type arrangement to a relationship that just had some pragmatic advantages for the people in our respective regions. So Covalima is a region, well, they call it a municipality. It's like a district, and it has a population. It's from memory, it's in the 60 to 70,000 population, and then their main town of Suai, which has a population of about 10,000. So not dissimilar to Manawatū and our main town of Fielding. And it seemed like a fairly logical connection. The things that we were discussing, they are particularly interested in furthering their knowledge of agriculture and training. The Fielding High School with its two farms, dairy farm, sheep and beef farm, and also the hostels for both boys and girls, is a particular interest. And we're thinking of the possibility of exchange students coming out here to spend some time at FAHS. And then also seasonal worker schemes. We've currently got the RSE scheme, the Recognised Seasonal Employer Scheme, and we have people from Pacific Islands working in our region under that scheme. I then spoke to Ian Strawn, local president of the Federated Farmers, I didn't want to tread on any toes. I wanted to see whether they sort of had their blessing for that arrangement, and they said that would be of great interest to them. And also probably food processing type factories as well. So they were a couple of the obvious points to start. The ambassador was also interested in learning from how we operate local government, and even as simple as how we manage rubbish collection. She was so impressed how clean and tidy our town and district is. She said, "We've got a major problem over there. So can you help us?" So we haven't got down to any brass tacks in terms of detail about what might happen, but we're just looking at to start with, it was a memorandum of understanding, which became a memorandum of agreement, which became a memorandum of arrangement. It's fair to say we were sort of unofficially contacted by MFAT and given some advice. We also sought advice from our lawyers, CR Law, and we wanted to make sure that we weren't being committed to something that might bind us that we don't want to be bound by. Thank you, Councillor Underwood. And so the agreement is rather sort of loose. It talks more about possibilities. You've had it circulated. There is a change, and I will ask our Chief Executive to speak to that as well. So this is about the 19th version of the MOA, Memorandum of Arrangement, and there has been a subsequent change at the last minute. And we were wanting an arrangement between Manawatū District Council and the Municipal Authority of Cobalima. But sort of at the last minute, their legal advice was that actually Cobalima doesn't have delegated authority to do that. It has to be basically through the government, through the Ministry of State Administration. And so the Minister of State Administration is coming out here next week, hopefully to sign the agreement if it gets passed today. And he would be signing, as you can see on the back page, Minister of State Administration Timor-Leste, for and on behalf of the Municipal Authority of Cobalima and Suai as main town in Timor-Leste. So it's very much the relationship is between Manawatū District and Cobalima, but it has to be officially through the Ministry of State Administration of Timor-Leste for the reason I've just mentioned. What's in it for Manawatū? There's clearly plenty in it for the people of Cobalima, plenty of opportunity to learn and get some skills, get some work experience, get some money. But probably the main practical thing at the moment would be for some of our employers to get some RSC workers or seasonal workers. And we know that there are some factories that are interested in looking at that, and also some farmers. So that's probably what's in it for people of Manawatū. You'll note on key term 3, the arrangement will be carried out by participants on a cost-neutral basis and within existing resources of their respective local governments. Each participant is responsible for their own costs, basically associated with all matters. So we're not going to be having to pay out for their trips over here or anything like that. We've been very upfront about we don't see it as a necessary for a mayoral trips over to Timor-Leste, but we are interested in facilitate educational exchanges, training, seasonal worker exchanges, etc. So I'll leave it there and open up for questions.
Thank you.
Chief Executive, you may wish to just, I mean, we were trying to make the arrangement with Cobalima, and we had advice that that's what we should be trying to do. So they've come back and said we can't, and you found out about that about 10 minutes ago.
Thank you, Councillor. So I was the one that took over liaising with MFAT and our lawyers to produce the document that's on the report. In discussions with MFAT, they had some concerns that we were going to be entering an agreement with the country rather than a municipality, and that probably wasn't what district council should do. A country by country arrangement should be at a higher authority, which is where we went to around the signing provisions. So they had no problem with the minister signing, provided it was on behalf of the municipality, which is the way it's set out. The contract's being prepared. Well, it's not a contract. The arrangement is being prepared in accordance with the guidelines from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Trade, and also with our legal advisors. It actually doesn't commit us to anything. It's just an arrangement to be able to do certain things. So the signing really isn't, it's just an agreement, just not even an agreement really. It's an arrangement where we're going to undertake certain things for each other if it works out. So, like I said, like the DVDM said, I found about 10 months ago. So, whether we're going to run that past them or not, I guess it's up to you, council, but probably it could be subject to them just saying, yeah, it's good to go.
See, key term 11, the participants will review this memorandum of arrangement 18 months after signing of this memorandum and every triennium of the Manawatū District Council thereafter to ensure that the memorandum of arrangement and the matters contemplated by it remain mutually beneficial for all parties. So I think we can actually end it at any time, but it'll be reviewed on a regular basis because I'm certainly aware of, I think we probably officially have some sister cities that, was it Albany, that really we have no contact with. So we don't want that situation. We only want the arrangement if it's actually doing something useful.
Thank you. Open it up for questions, comments. Councillor Hadfield.
Yeah, thanks, Your Worship. Just in terms of the RSE component of this, I note currently there are 9 countries approved under the RSE scheme, and this isn't one of them. Is it our intention to encourage central government to look at adding to that list in terms of the fact that there may be some synergy or some opportunity for people from Timor-Leste to operate especially in the agricultural sector and under that sort of scheme?
Yes.
Thank you for that precise answer.
And I think it would be easier once this is signed, if it does get signed, it would make it easier for that application to take place.
Thank you.
Councillor Quarry.
Thank you, Your Worship. It's very hard for people that live in a world like we live here and a society where we've grown up with the services, the facilities and so forth that living in New Zealand brings. It's very, very hard to compare the lifestyle, the conditions, the area in which they live in East Timor. When you go there and you see an actual scorched earth policy that took place, and all you see as you fly in is just burnt out huts that have been burnt, and the country was totally devastated. And any assistance we can offer and we can give them, I fully support. And there's an old saying, you can win the war, but you've got to win the peace. And the only way you win the peace is to improve the economic standards, the economic living standards that the people there actually have to live by. And so any assistance we can give in any shape or form, I fully support. So well done.
Thank you. Councillor Blackmore.
Thank you. I'm genuinely supportive of this arrangement. I just note Kovalim is on the border with Indonesia. Did in fact raise any concerns about ongoing security of that area?
No. Councillor Underwood.
Another geographical observation that they are quite proximate to Australia, and I'm wondering if they have in the past made overtures to local government in Australia that you know of, or if there are existing arrangements with any of their promises.
Jane.
Actually, funny you should say that. I was in Australia last week and driving out of Sydney, one of the signs on the board was sister city to Timor-Leste.
Where was that, sorry?
In Sydney.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
Australia.
so
Sydney, Australia. Oh, okay.
So yeah, quite by chance, there was a sign saying they were a sister city. So
They'd prefer to work with Kiwis than Aussies.
This is an example of what Councillor Corrie was talking about. One of the officials that came with the ambassador, he's a farmer, and I took it from the conversation from someone else that he was a fairly wealthy sort of a farmer, and he's got 30 cows.
Sounds like a French summer.
So that would be quite a big herd.
Yeah. They didn't have any cows in Aussie.
Thank you. Right, so any further questions or comments before we go to the recommendation on page 195? If not, can I have a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor Quarry.
Okay, yeah, I'd like to move that the approve the draft memorandum of arrangement between the Manawatū District Council and the Ministry of State Administration on behalf of the Municipal Authority of Covalima Suai, Timor-Leste. Note that the draft memorandum of arrangement will be amended to reflect the Ministry of State Administration as the correct party to the arrangement, and delegated authority to the Mayor to sign to the agreement at a signing ceremony scheduled for 30 July 2025.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder, please? Councillor Quigley. Thank you. Any further discussion? If not, I'll put the motions. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Against? Motion is carried. So thank you. Well done. I think this is a really practical opportunity for us to provide some support. But also, I'm sure through this, with Council's role as a facilitator, we will also learn through this experience as well. So thank you.
Thank you, colleagues.
Right, moving on in our agenda, we have no late items today, so we can go straight to the public excluded session, and I will move that the public be excluded from the following parts of the proceedings of this meeting, namely the Civic Centre Trust Recruitment Direction, the campground lease at Huntleys Reserve, and the award of the contract for the ERP system. Do I have a seconder, please? Councillor Ford, thank you. Put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Against? Motion